Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the first episode of Groovin Forward. I'm Taylor, and this is Chris.
Hi, everybody.
So first off, I just want to give you all a little rundown of what the show will be formatted as. Every episode will talk about 3 albums. 2 recent albums and an album from the past as a reminder. This week, the 3 albums will be How to Dress Well's Care, Flying Lotus's Cosmogramma, and Danny Brown's Atrocity Exhibition. For the 2 recent releases, Chris and I will each pick an album we want to listen to, and for the reminder album, we will switch off every episode. To start this episode off, we will be reviewing How to Dress Well's Care album, which was my pick of the episode. How to Dress Well, also known as Tom Krell, is an art pop artist who uses heavy production over his vocals, and I was personally introduced to him with his last album, What Is This Heart? I wasn't as big of a fan of Care as I was of his last album, but that doesn't mean it was bad by any means. This album was released under Domino Recording Studio and focused heavily on the topic of love. When it comes to love, for me personally, I feel like it's a very hit or miss topic because it's very relatable and it's easy to, I feel like it's easy to make music on that topic, but it's also been done.
Like there are just certain words and phrases that you can just throw in there that's guaranteed to just like strike at someone's like heartstrings or whatever.
Yes, exactly. The easiest way to put it is it's relatable, but it's been done so many times that it's not that easy to make it original, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so this album starts off with the track Can't You Tell, which is one of my least favorite tracks of the album, to be honest. It's very like dance hallish and just
I personally, for me, this was my first introduction to How to Dress Well. So never listened to him before, didn't check out any of his previous work before jumping into this. I liked Can't You Tell.
Mm-hmm.
I thought some of the bass lines in it were just like super fun. Just
Yeah.
like a good, I thought they really set it off well. And, I think it's a pretty solid start to the record.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. Personally, because What Is This Heart was a lot slower than this album as a whole. He was this album was a lot more fast paced, and sometimes your expectations just get to you, and I don't know. I wasn't really feeling the opening track, but
Yeah.
I will say that once it got to Salt Song, ooh, that's the second track on the album. That's one of my favorites for sure because he goes through this whole thing. And he's talking like to himself as a kid. Like, for example, some of the lyrics are, "Hey Tom, you're okay in here. You can feel no pain. Yeah, we have the same name. You're just a little bit smaller. The boy laughed and he said to me, this is the feeling of a real human dignity. When I woke up, I felt my face expecting tears." Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And one more thing about this track. The second half, or the end of the track, when the drums come in and the
Like
triumphant guitar sound comes in, it's like just makes you feel like you can take on the world.
Yeah. There was a couple times when listening through this album and then the other ones that we listened to, they kind of remind me like, that Push a Man, the first half of that song, then it ends,
Yeah,
and there's just silence.
Push a Man and
like,
Paranoia. Yeah.
Yeah, I had the feeling like that with a few of these songs. I thought Salt Song, I noted like the guitar that comes in at around like 2 minutes 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Just like that got me really interested in the song. I thought he showed off a lot more vocal range
Yeah, most
with
definitely.
this song than Can't You Tell, so I thought that was really good. But I did feel like it could have been a little shorter. I thought it could have ended a little naturally and it might have worked out better, and then just have like that second half almost be a separate track, or at least denoted that it's like.
Yeah,
You know
no,
what I mean?
no, I understand what you're saying. I think one of the reasons I actually am okay with it being so long is because of that switch up in the end. When that first really heavy, I think it's a snare, comes in.
I think that might be one of the things, like like I was taking notes while I was listening, so like if things changed, because I think that was like right before it got quiet and sort of ended, and the second half started
Exactly.
up.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah.
So I mean, like I can definitely see that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you know, for me, other standout tracks, I like the Lost Youth, Lost You.
Yeah.
Thought it was really...
Do you want to hear something funny about the play on words there? Is that this is not related to the album. This is a story about myself. Not my senior year, but like one of my first years of college, I wrote a poem called "Youth Belongs with You." So I really liked that he did that because it reminded me of the poem, and I actually lost it because when I updated my phone, it destroyed all my notes, and that was like one of the best things I ever created too. It was so cool. Just letting you know.
Another thing, I really like the album artwork for Care. I thought it was pretty cool. It's very just visually striking. I could see it looking good, you know, like full size around a record.
Yeah, one of the biggest things for me is definitely album cover art, and I feel like if album art ties an album together the way that this does, personally, I think it just adds that little bit of spice on top. Like
if it captures like sort of the emotional feel of the album, that's definitely a bonus.
And if you look,
then it feels more complete.
Also, if you look at his last album too, called "What Is This Heart?" If you look at the album cover of that, it's a lot more dreary, but it still has his face and stuff on it, and it really encapsulates that album also.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I liked Lost Youth, Lost You. It was relatable in terms of being young and in love and trying to figure out what you want. And some of the questions I had wrote down were like, do you want to be with this person for the rest of your life? Is this person right? Will you have children with this person? Like, it's really like at that young state where you're like, you're wondering. You're wondering, you know? Like,
yeah, but it's not real.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's not a real issue that you have to confront anytime soon, like at that stage.
Yeah, but you still do, especially if you're with someone, because you never know if this is the person that you're going to be with for the rest of your life, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy to think about, but yeah.
And this is another song that I just, like, I found myself noting, like, hey, like, it's good, but it doesn't need to be almost 6 minutes long, I felt.
Lost Youth, like, Lost You, that one?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, I agree.
And, like,
I thought that the instrumental was one of the most average sounding on the album.
And then The Ruins, that's another notable song. I'm not trying to go just like right down.
Yeah, no.
But
I personally love Ruins. It might be my favorite track on the album. When he the part where the auto-tune, where he starts using the auto-tune and he's like, see the flesh in the room, see the flesh in the rooms. It was like some trap hip-hop stuff, and it was like, oh my gosh, this is sick.
It had enough variety. It kept mixing things up.
Exactly.
Every part of the song felt like it was necessary to remain there to like complete the song. And I do like the instrumentals, like, they told the story sort of independent of, like, you didn't need lyrics.
Yeah,
like, you
definitely
could kind of understand the emotions that were going through with that song.
Yeah, I'd say the other favorite track that I had on the album was Anxious. I felt like Anxious really...
Yeah, actually... It was a standout for me as well.
Yeah.
Because a lot, like, I mean, there's a lot of promise here in this album, but just a lot of it seemed to be a lot of the same over and over. Like,
yeah, no,
Anxious,
I agree.
Anxious set itself apart. It was like it had some funk, it had some groove, like that just really caused it to stand
I
out.
think this is a good one because you know how Hey Ya by Outkast is typically, if you don't actually listen to it, it's known as like a happy like groovy track, you know? This Anxious sorry if I keep interrupting you, but
Mhm.
this track is like that. It's happy feeling, but it has self-deprecating lyrics. Like, it's what
That's
anxiety feels like, where you're like all over the place in your mind. So it's like you got this really fast-paced beat going on, but you're thinking about like how sad you are and how you're so messed up and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's one of the things I actually noted. It's not Hey Ya by Outkast, but there's a song off of Blurry Face,
Yeah.
the 21 Pilots,
Yeah.
called Not Today, and he even references that where he's like, this is a contradiction because of how happy the song sounds, but the lyrics are just so depressing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, no, I really like it when artists do that, because it's
Mhm.
it's a little bit of a mix-up on you sometimes.
mhm.
And,
Um,
yeah, no, I think overall, I wasn't really feeling, Burning Up was probably my least favorite. It was just nothing too amazing. I'm Terrible is decent. It was, I liked when he was like, and I won't deny that, can't deny that. I liked that.
mhm.
Um,
Yeah, I like the synths in that song.
Mhm. That-
They were good.
yeah, I thought it was decent. I didn't like, it definitely wasn't a favorite though.
Mhm. With just sort of in general, like I thought the album started out like pretty strong. It had some like good promise to it. In general, I wasn't a huge fan. Like this isn't really my standard go-to genre
Yeah,
of
most
music.
definitely.
Like I mean, it's like I'll give anything that you refer to me a shot. Like I love Twigs. I love that sort of stuff. Um, but a lot of it just blended together for me, and that's not
I feel the
blending
same way.
together is bad.
I feel the
but
same way. I felt
You-
like
you
there
want-
were a few standout tracks, and the rest were just a lot of the same stuff. But I didn't dislike most of the songs. Like, I feel like the only two songs that I think I disliked were the Can't You Tell track, the first track, and then and then Burning Up. Those were the only two. The rest were decent, or I liked them pretty much.
They were more forgettable for me, I guess. Is
Like
the
I
way.
said, I think love is like the hardest topic to talk about because it's been done so many times,
Mhm. Yeah, it's kind of hard to have a fresh take on love at this point.
And
Um,
I did really enjoy the Untitled track at the end. I thought the lyrics were very beautiful, and I got more of my Tom Krell soothing voice in my ears talking to me personally. I liked that a lot.
I thought, I understand I think I understand what he was trying to do with it, but the rest of the album was already kind of doing that, so
True.
it didn't
Yeah.
work for me. But I did. His voice was really great when it was like complemented by like the swell of music, like when the instrumental would like mix with his voice almost, like when they were at like the same
Yeah,
level.
yeah.
That was really good. I like
Yeah,
that
that's
a lot.
one of the reasons why Runes is so good, I think, is because that did it perfect.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I guess
Overall, I enjoyed it. I wouldn't say it's anything amazing, but I did enjoy it as an album. So, oh yeah, for the we are going to be rating the two recent releases that we pick. So we're gonna be doing it to the closest 10th decimal point, and for this album, for Care, I would probably give it a 7.1.
okay. There's a bit of a difference between us.
That's fine.
And I put it down at 4.8.
Jesus Christ.
Not
That's a
yeah,
big
I know.
fu-
That's
I mean,
yes.
that's a big
Because
difference.
it's like you said, there are tracks on here that are really good that like I'd be like, oh, pull this up, listen to it, just for fun. But like if I had to, I got really kind of bored by the end of this album.
Yeah, that makes sense. I understand why.
So-
I think it's just a difference in our listening
Yeah,
habits,
taste.
Yeah, that too.
And that's fine.
So yeah, are you ready to go into Flying Lotus, Cosmogramma?
Yeah, definitely. The Cosmogramma was my pick for the Reminder album, so let's get on to that.
Okay.
So the Reminder record that we're doing this week, I chose Cosmogramma by Flying Lotus. It was released in 2008 on Warp Records. And just sort of like the idea behind doing this Reminder record is Taylor and myself, we have albums that we kind of consider must listen for anybody who's really into music. And we wouldn't necessarily say these are a classic, but just something that, like, hey, if you wanna check out something new that you might not have heard of, definitely give this one a shot. So, all right, I guess getting into the actual record now, like, what did you think of the intro, the first track, Clock Catcher?
Well, before I talk about the intro, I kind of just want to talk about how I feel about Flying Lotus in general.
Okay, that's good.
Flying Lotus projects are weird. Like, that's just what it is, and that's what makes him who he is.
Yeah.
It's, for me personally, when I hear an instrumental album like this, especially Flying Lotus, I really try to create a story about what the whole album is about. And what I personally thought of with Cosmogramma, looking at the album cover, it's almost like he's going at light speeds through space. So I'm imagining a person in a spaceship this whole album, and he's like, his spaceship breaks down, he crash lands on different worlds with different races, and he's
just
all this type of cool stuff is going on. Exactly, it's an adventure all the way through. That's what this album is, an adventure. That's
definitely like the way I feel that you should approach it. Like, it tells such, like, if you allow it, it can tell a really robust story, I think.
Yeah. Also, before this, I want to mention that just because this is Chris's pick, it doesn't mean I'm always going to like the album that he picks. This, I liked it. I really love this album, but I just want to let everyone know that it might not always be that way.
Yeah, no, that's definitely true. And then also another note, we're not going to give ratings to the Reminder records. Like, that's just for the two recent ones. So.
Yep. All right. Well, the album started off with Clock Catcher. Nice song. Got those. I don't know what they are, but they're like Asian string instruments. That's all I know. Like the ding, ding, those type of instruments.
No, definitely. To me, just a shot of adrenaline right in the arm right away. Like, it got me hooked. Like, high energy, strings used very well. And then it builds like some atmosphere and a little bit of intrigue. So that's the way I view it. And then it.
Yeah, no, I feel exactly the same way, man.
No, it transitions, like, and then Pickled keeps up that energy and like maintains it.
Pickled was really where I was like, damn, I'm on a spaceship. That's where I really
when
felt
you're just flying through space.
Yeah, you're cruising.
The drums and the bass.
Yes.
Throughout that whole song will really just, like, they get a hold into you, and then, like, you can't help but just, like, be grooving to it. Like, that's how it is.
This is one of those albums where you can sit there in the dark, have it on, and not think about anything except for the sounds that you're listening to.
Yeah, no,
that's tough with a lot of albums. That's tough. But this one, yeah.
But yeah, you know, the album just has such a great flow. Like, the first three songs really well. Then intro / a cosmic drama comes on. And I feel like that's almost to let you catch your breath a little bit. Like, do you know what I mean? Where it's like, the first three I felt were very, very high energy songs and all that. And then with intro, it takes a little step back and closes down a little bit. So that's just kind of the vibe I got from it. I mean, it looks like you're feeling something else, but
No, I feel exactly the same way. I'm actually going to my phone to look at the track list
Okay.
for the album. So,
But yeah, there's a lot. Another thing with there being sort of minimal vocals on this album are, you feel like the vocal features are that much more important. Like they were definitely chosen for a reason.
yeah. One thing I do want to mention about A Cosmic Drama is that the synth leading up to it is beautiful. That I really enjoyed that part.
Oh yeah, no, that's really
of the
good.
Album. Yeah.
That's,
and then after that we go into Zodiac shit, which is like, whoo.
It's got some of those like little low key wub wubs thrown throughout it, like
Yep.
it just just so much. I feel like I'm repeating myself, but this album is just it flows so well together.
You know what?
Tracks.
When I was like trying to put into words what I was trying to say about this album, I think one of the biggest problems I was having is that it sounds so different, but also so the same all the way through it. You know?
And there are even times where it's like, if I'm listening to it and I'm not paying attention to like what track is playing now, I'll get mixed up on like certain tracks, like when one ends and when another begins.
Yeah, and that's something that,
like, especially with
I feel like that's what an album should be like a lot of the time.
Especially
where you're just flowing.
Especially one like this, I feel it's a lot more important.
With the instrumentals, just the IDM type production where the drums they're always off kilter. They're never quite what you're thinking they're gonna be, you know?
It definitely gives a little more credence to the claim that it's like, this is an album story that I want to tell. Like, everything flows together, it doesn't feel chopped up. Like, you can tell it's like, it's a complete thought from start to finish, so.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's really good. Like, Computer Face, Pure Being, is just pretty good. And The World Laughs With You, though, when Tom York, he does great vocals for this song.
Yes, he does.
And it's another one of those where it's like, it's kind of like morose, a little bit depressing, but it still maintains sort of like a higher energy level. That's why.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny because that in The World Laughs With You, that's where the storyline is that you're coming to the realization that you're still all alone in this spaceship.
Yeah, I noted that.
You're just a lone being.
I noted that it feels like there's a sense of paranoia to the song.
Yeah,
No, it definitely.
And the fact that we can both like say something like that really encapsulates how the emotion felt from everyone is like around that same level.
Yeah. And that actually brings me into Artistry. It almost has this like cyberpunk, sci-fi horror sort of feel to the beginning. A lot of isolation, and it reminds me, I know you didn't play System Shock 2, but like in the beginning, you know, your guy wakes up and he walks out and you can look out this window and you can tell that stuff isn't really right at all, but it's just like so serene and calm looking out this window. It's just space, and then it starts to set in that you're trapped on this place where things aren't working out. That's kind of the vibe that I get from that song.
Yeah, I felt like it was a sense of peace, but as those vocals that come in, it almost leads you into despair. Like it goes from this like meditation type sounding music into something where like you're going downhill. You're spiraling downwards, if I will.
Yeah. No, definitely. And yeah, has a really good feature from Thundercat.
Yep.
That was really good. And then that transitions so well into my favorite song from this record.
Me too.
Do the Astral Plane.
Astral Plane is my favorite.
It is like I said, two of my favorite things, just funk and groove, and this has those in spades. So
yeah, I'd say that it has very simple yet fleshed out drums, and the use of vocals, like
the percussion is
the use of vocals behind the drums just sounds phenomenal. And there's a little rattling, tinkering. There's a bunch of rattling, tinkering noises that we get that just go throughout the whole track, and you're like, you just feel it.
It's really good, I think, and he probably did it on earlier tracks as well. But I'm pretty sure he samples. Either, I don't know if he does it or if he even samples it on his Captain Murphy projects, but some of like the laughs that he like will put into it. That's
okay.
I'm pretty sure I've heard that on some of the other like Captain Murphy songs. So
yeah, no, I didn't notice that, but I think you're right.
Ever since, I don't know why, it's like ever since I started listening to like Flatbush and at Flatbush Zombies and some of their songs at the beginning, a lot of people think that's a woman's laugh and stuff to set it into it. That's actually zombie juice, but Eric Elliott just sort of like raised the pitch and like shortened it and all that. So
make it sound a little. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, so I guess I've just been noticing laughs in all my songs now.
Dude, yeah, I have ideas about laughs. I'm going to talk to you about that after the podcast, actually.
All right, sounds good. And then Satellite. And actually in my notes, I counted to make sure I had the right number of L's and I's.
Oh, really? Yeah.
So that's talking about it.
Do you like have a reason why he did that?
No,
Do you have any idea?
No,
Yeah, I couldn't think of anything either. Like, the only thing I could think of is, like, someone saying, like, Satellite or something,
like Stella from A Streetcar Named Desire. Where it's, no.
No, not me.
But anyway, Satellite felt like the musical version of, like, a mental breakdown. Especially, like, the lyrical delivery in it.
Yeah.
I feel like that's sort of like the
I felt like the second half was almost... It was, like, peaceful and uprising, is what I put. Like, the second half of it.
It feels like a new song at about, like, 2:15 in. It transitions. So, and I feel like that's saying it's like, because the beginning of the album is very, very high energy, and then it starts getting, like, kind of weird and kind of depressed, or I mean, like, kind of weirder, because it was already weird. And depressed, and then, like, I feel it kind of ends on an uptick a little bit.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. That makes total sense.
German haircut, very, very jazzy. I like that. Definitely had that.
Yeah, I felt like the horns, the horns that were in the track, they almost filled you with like a sense of sedation. Like you were like, it made you not want to move.
Yeah, no. But then with some of the other jazziness, like it feels like it's very well orchestrated chaos almost. Like if you're just sort of,
and that's Flying Lotus, man. That's just what it is. He's orchestrated chaos.
Yeah.
And that's what's so crazy to me about it. I don't know how he does it.
No, he does it throughout all his projects.
He creates these amazing albums out of chaotic imagery.
And even like some of the other songs, like I noticed, like it feels very complex, but like sort of straightforward at the same time, which is like that's another thing that like, makes it a little more confusing even.
I know, it's just Flying Lotus as a whole is just a confusing musical act.
But we get to Drips and Auntie's Harp, and that is that's actually the song where I took the notes about like the drums were keeping everything grooving forward on that song. That's where I
Oh,
originally wrote that
hey,
up.
okay.
So that's a little bit of, I guess, trivia.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I felt like it was very upbeat collection of synths, like layered on top of what I would guess is a freaking harp, is what I'm guessing.
And a lot of stuff, it's like, it has this sci-fi feel, but like, the songs that are heavy on the harp and other stuff like that, it almost has like a fantasy, like mystical feel to
It's
it.
very similar to Cowboy Bebop. I just like thought of that. It's because Cowboy Bebop is a sci-fi anime that uses a lot of jazz and blues within the soundtrack. And that's kind of what this is. It's like a space journey with jazz instrumentals. That's crazy.
Yeah.
This is the Cowboy Bebop of music, bro.
That might be a contentious claim to some, but we'll see.
We'll be all right.
I like that table tennis actually samples like a ping pong game.
The table, dude. Yeah, I wrote that down too. I was like,
that.
it featuring what sounds like ping pong balls bouncing back and forth with some of the heaviest vocals on the album.
The force of your gravity.
I thought the mix was done really well with the vocals. Like, they seemed perfectly balanced with the instrumentals.
Yeah.
And all that.
One of the things about this track was like the vocals were like so eerie that I'm like looking over my shoulders every once in a while just to make sure nobody's there.
No, that's
like there's not like a little girl from The Ring or something just standing behind me.
yeah. Laura Darlington did a great job with her vocals on this one, so that was really good. And then it ends off like with Galaxy and Janaki, and I feel like it's a very frenetic track. I think it would pair well with a sci-fi sort of anime thing, like Cowboy Bebop even. But then also, it kind of reminds me of some of his work with like Adult Swim bumper music that he did a lot of. So, or I know he did some, I'm not sure the exact amount, but he would do the bumper music for Adult Swim, and it kind of had that sort of feel to it.
Did you, when you were listening to it, maybe you'll have to listen to it again, but did you feel like the drums were, like, cut in half? Like, it felt like the drums were, like, cut right in half. Like, it felt like they ended early.
I think I'd have to listen to it. I didn't catch that, but maybe now that you mention it, I'll have to pay a little more attention.
And then there's, like, the little tinkering, the little, like, hi-hats that are, like, they're there, but unless you're listening, you don't really notice them, which I thought was really good.
But yeah, in my opinion, this is, if you're going to listen to just one Fly Low record, this should be the one, even with, that, the Kendrick verse off of the No Dead, You're Dead
Oh,
record.
yeah, no. I would say, to be honest, this is not my favorite Flying Lotus album. I personally like 1983 more than I like this, but yeah, I'd say that this is the one that I would recommend.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I feel like that's safe. Yeah, it's just like, it tells such a great story. I think the last sort of quarter of the album feels a lot slower than the rest of it. It's right within the context, because I feel like there's a climax around, like, Do the Astral Plane, and then it's just sort of like, it's winding back down to normal after that, and I feel like that's done very, very well.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that's a good way to put it. There's not much to say other than what we already have.
Yeah, and like we said, we're not going to review or rate the Reminder records.
The Reminder albums, yeah. So
I mean, unless you have,
I guess we can get into the main event here
main
pretty
event.
soon.
All right.
Danny Brown's Atrocity Exhibition.
All right.
Cool brick with 2 bricks and hoes on the strap. Off a 2-piece, a 2-pick, a flick, and a preach. Yeah, so Danny Brown's Atrocity Exhibition was released last week, and it was released under Warp Records. And Danny Brown does the shit again. Mm-hmm. He heavily focuses on the cycle of depression and drug use. And I personally feel that Danny Brown perfectly, like, he puts into perfect words what, like, being depressed is like. Like, a line on the first track, which is Downward Spiral, he says, thinking irrational, I have no emotions, cold, cold world, some might say, freezing on the snow, brain feel a bit frostbit. Mm-hmm. It's not always, like, I feel like when Danny Brown raps, you can tell he's really, like, he's thought about, he's very self-aware. Mm-hmm. That's, like, the best way to put it.
Mm-hmm. No, that's really good. I'm pretty sure, I mean, it's just a common expression, but I'm pretty sure on the song Adderall Admiral off of Triple X, he's talking about the downward spiral got him suicidal.
No, that was on the intro track. That was on the intro of Triple X.
Oh, Triple X. Yeah, I knew it was on one of them. I forget which one.
He says at the end, he's like, the downward spiral got me suicidal, but too scared to do it, so these pills will be the rifle.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that was on the intro track of Triple X.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, so that's another thing. Like, when this song came on, like, it's kind of weird. There's, like, a very minimalistic beat to it, which is something that I found myself writing throughout.
Yeah.
It's very different, but God, it was great to hear Danny rapping on something new. Like, it was so much fun. Like,
it starts off amazing.
Like,
I really enjoy it. I feel like the album is, like, almost separated into acts. Like, the first 3 tracks, Downward Spiral, Tell Me What I Don't Know, and Rolling Stone, that's like Act 1, where he's telling you about the position he's in right now. Mm-hmm. And then from tracks like Really Though all the way down to Pneumonia, that's like what he's doing because he's in that position. Mm-hmm. And maybe you could even add Dance in the Water to the end of that. Mm-hmm. And then, like, yeah, I'm not sure, like, what the third act would be, but I feel like Danny Brown really puts his thoughts perfectly down on paper, and he puts them perfectly into the music.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's, like, on Tell Me What I Don't Know, he really sort of, I think, does a good job painting a portrait of what it was like growing up for him.
Yes. Another thing I wanted to mention is that I feel like he really uses his regular voice when he's going back. Mm-hmm.
No, I noticed that too. Where it's not as just like that high pitched, like crazy Danny Brown. This is just like,
this is who I was before I became high pitched Crazy Brown. Or Crazy Brown.
Crazy Brown.
That's funny.
But yeah, I like the Petite Noir feature on Rolling Stone.
Yeah,
super
Rolling
solid.
Stone is.
Danny goes hard on that just very, like, ethereal beat. Once again, like, and it's one of those songs where it's like the beat is, like, so weird and, like, laid back, but I find myself just, like, grooving to it the whole time, just, like, moving.
Exactly. I feel like one of the biggest things about Danny Brown is people think, all right, so of course we all know Renegade, Jay-Z featuring Eminem. Mm-hmm. The one Jay-Z line that almost everybody should know, in my opinion, is like, do you fools listen to music or do you just skim through it? Mm-hmm. Everybody seems to skim through Danny Brown's music because of the crazy lines he uses, like on Triple X when he's saying, "You bitch say my dick look like a strap on a satchel." Like that
stuff
type of
like
stuff.
That.
And that stands out compared to when he's talking about stuff like on Rolling Stone, where he's like, even right off the bat, he's like, feeling like I got money, no, I'm just rich, even if she fucked me, I still know life a bitch, bought a nightmare, sold a dream, happiness went upstream, blame myself, I had no control, now I'm living with no soul. Like, people don't understand how well he puts depression as a whole into lyrics.
Yeah, he does a good job of capturing that feeling, sort of like the Jamie XX song "Strangers in a Room." Like, that does a good job of like the sort of the same motif. You know what I mean? Where it'll be, yes, everyone's partying and having a great time, but everyone is just depressed on the inside. Like, they're not really knowing each other, which I feel like that's kind of a theme that Danny dips into a lot, but unfortunately people know him most for, like,
his sexual innuendos and sexual references and stuff.
Like Black Brad Pitt, like that whole song is just like a huge joke.
Bitch pussy smell like a penguin. I wouldn't hit that shit with my worst enemy's penis. Like, those are the lines that stick out to people, and that's fine. Like, he obviously does it on purpose, and it's fun, but he's so much deeper than that, too.
And then that takes us to the next track.
All right, here we go.
For me, this is in contention, best beat of the year for me.
Black Milk is amazing. He's the one who produced it. He's also a hip-hop artist from Detroit. You should listen to some of his stuff.
I definitely...
He's really good. And this is also collab of the year. It's going to be collab of the year for me.
Yeah, I mean, of course, you got Kendrick and Earl going real hard. Both of them really good.
Yeah.
And then Absol throws out a really solid verse, too. Like,
dude, I felt like Absol did better than I was expecting him to. I love that he starts off with "Still Wicked" as Aleister Crowley. Like, that's so cool. Yeah. I just really enjoy that. And like, who do you think had the best verse?
In my opinion, just like best verse, I'm going with Earl. I thought it was an interesting choice that he would get the last verse.
Yeah, I felt so too.
But I think just like his voice and his...
Do you feel that he's more upbeat too? That he's feeling it, like he's trying to, like, he enjoyed rapping it. I felt.
Yeah, definitely, and just his voice and his flow, sort of like juxtapose the beat so well, where it's like the beat is like this kind of like higher pitch, just like kind of quick.
Oh, dude, when he comes in and he's like, I don't know, it all of it, man. I love Earl personally.
Yeah,
as you know,
we're on the same page with that one.
As you know, I personally feel that Earl Sweatshirt is maybe like top 5 best modern lyricists, if not top 3 for me personally. When he's coming in and he's like, "You hate Papa, but your jaw full of dust. You gonna keep talking? Are we locking it up?" And I'm the type of, it ain't never been an honor to judge. You a mouse that the Falcon picked up. Oh my gosh, that's so sick, dude.
So sick.
And I'm the type of nigga it ain't never been an honor to judge. You a mouse that the Falcon picked up.
I mean, like, Danny Brown, like, he comes in super hard at the beginning. Like, I know we were just talking about, like, oh, he's a lot deeper than that, but just, like, the line where he's like, she'll look like a centerfold, she be on my genitals. Like,
sucking on it like she getting vitamins and minerals.
Yes, exactly. Like, oh my gosh, like, I love that. That was great.
Dude. I be on the chemicals, she be on my testicles, poke her with my tentacle, then put her out my schedule. Oh my gosh, dude. Danny Brown went off. He actually had my favorite verse on this.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
my favorite verse.
But like the Kendrick's hook on this, I'm just walking around and it's like all of a sudden I'll just be, walking like, really no. Just like,
I know. Yeah. Dude, I love that voice, though. The fire voice that comes in. Fire!
It's very earworm. And then Kendrick has a great verse. It reminds me of something if it was gonna be on one of his own projects, I think it'd be on Good Kid, Mad City.
Yes, I felt like the bridge that life is like an appetite, a truth or dare I double. That dude, that totally sounded Good Kid, Mad City.
And he killed it. Like, I mean, not that anyone is expecting him to not kill it.
Yeah.
So.
All right, let me ask you this:
Okay.
Is Made a Million Counting Sheep gave it all to public housing the most Kendrick Lamar line Kendrick Lamar has ever written?
Ooh, that is tough.
Because it's so braggadocious, but he's like, but I gave it all to public housing.
Yeah, no,
it's so sick. I didn't mean that like literally, but
yeah,
like,
no, I know.
It's one of the most Kendrick lines
It is.
there
It's
is.
very. I mean, it's sort of like when I make the claims where, like $25 is the most Danny Brown song of all time.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
So, but no, definitely, like, yeah, that's very, very Kendrick. That captures his person very well, I think.
Exactly. I felt like it was his whole personality summed up into like those two lines. It was really cool.
Yeah, go on to Lost from there. Like, that's really good. Like, I thought the sampling was really well done with
Yep,
it.
most definitely.
And so was Black Milk just on Really Dough, or did he do a lot of the other work as well?
No,
Do you know?
I'm pretty sure Black Milk was just Really Dough. If I'm not mistaken. I might be mistaken.
That's fine. Yeah, Lost, I didn't really have many notes for it. I know that I liked it, but it just...
Yeah, it's just a good song. Like, his rhyme schemes are really good. Q brick, 2 bricks.
Yeah, no,
Like-
he does a really good job with it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just crazy how he can use that voice to such an advantage. The voice that he uses, it just makes, even if he's saying simple stuff sometimes, it still sounds good because he's saying it.
It's a lot about delivery. Like, I loved his delivery on Ain't It Funny.
Yeah, that track, man. Oh my
His
gosh.
final verse on that track is just, it's so good. I loved it.
Yeah.
He captured it so well. That song, it's definitely like a hype song to just.
I also want to mention that this part of the album is like aggressive. Like, especially like Ain't It Funny and Gold Dust. They're like heavy, man. The instrumentals, they're like heavy. They're almost like Death Grips heavy.
It's kind of weird. It comes out of nowhere. But then Gold Dust, I felt it kind of got a little repetitive at parts where it was still good, but just didn't seem to do much after the initial bit.
Man, I disagree. I love Gold Dust.
No,
but
yeah,
there's not a track on this. Well, maybe there's one track that I'm not feeling that much, and you might be able to guess it right off the bat. But, dude, I don't know, man. Just the lyrics, the
but that's
the
like
beat in the background.
That's my only complaint about it. Really, it's like it's good. Like I like it, but it gets a little repetitive to me. I don't know.
I know what you're saying. It is one of the.
And I feel like that was kind of
Yeah, I
done
don't
intentionally.
Maybe
What
I
up?
don't know what you're saying.
Yeah. No, White Lines though. I know it felt like that song would have fit in on Triple X. Like
Most definitely.
throw that into like the
Not
second
so much
half.
I faint. Dude, his flow is so weird. And I felt like with Gold Dust, I felt like he was off beat but still on beat. Like with Gold Dust, with White Lines, and he feels like that a lot. And that's one of the things that makes him his own rapper, his own artist.
Yeah.
Is that he can play around with it so much that he doesn't always have to stay right on it, but it still sounds good.
Yeah. And I noted again that He continues to rap about how he's probably the king of just like going down on girls just all the time.
Yeah. Oh
like,
man, I'm gonna clip. That's. Where is that at? Or I think I'm thinking of a different track. Which is the track where he's like, okay, so we found the track. It was White Lines, and we're about to put a clip in of the audio of what
very
I'm
good
talking
song,
about.
I'd say.
I'm trying to age all of y'all pussy.
But no, that was I really like that. Dance in the Water. It had sort of like a retro kind of feel to it with the samples and the beat. But for me, there seemed to be a little too much, like, I don't think that his voice and his flow fit this beat particularly well.
I felt the same way. I was really trying to figure out what he was trying to do, and at one point I was feeling like Dance in the Water and Not Get Wet was like him saying that he was, because you see 2 tracks later he's talking about when it's raining like bullets and shit around him, you know? And I was thinking maybe Dancing in the Water and Not Getting Wet was him living in the hood at one point and like dancing around the bullets to get to a party, which is why it's like that party song, you know? And that's the only thing that I could really think of to like why he would put this in here at this point in the album, you know?
When the outro came though, I thought that was done very well. Like, then I started getting interested but then I saw, I was like, oh, there's not that much left on this track. So I mean, I'd say that's probably my my least favorite track on this record.
I'd say so too, and yeah, I don't know, it's just it was weird to put it where it was for me. To put it where it was in like the production, and it was just the oddest track on the album.
But yeah, then From the Ground, it's...
Wait. One thing I will say about Dance in the Water is it's not as bad because it's shorter.
Yes.
It's one of the shorter tracks on the album. It's like 2 minutes and 30 seconds or something like that.
I felt it was like the appropriate length. I mean, it could have cut off a little more in my opinion, but
yeah, no, me too. But I'd rather have it. Be
yeah, exactly. At least it wasn't like a 5-minute song. But anyway, From the Ground, you know, pretty good. I like the hook from Kalala, or I'm not sure how to say that.
I don't know either, man.
Kalela, whatever. It was very introspective.
Yeah, I was just talking to a couple of my buddies yesterday, and I was telling them like a couple weeks ago too. I was talking about one of my buddies at work. We were talking about like how anybody that's famous for a good reason, like for art, or anybody that had to work to where they get, always had to sacrifice something earlier on in life, whether it be time, whether it be doing drugs and drinking alcohol and all that type of stuff. Almost every person that is successful had to sacrifice something, and I feel like that's what Danny is talking about. Is that he sacrificed a lot of shit so he could do this.
Yeah, like...
He was sleeping in studios, he was doing all that just to get to where he is
It has a... Yeah, like, you know, like I said, it's a very introspective feel where he's sort of looking at how he built this up, like sort of the relationships that he had to cast aside in order to pursue this dream of his. And yeah, you know, this is another track that I feel could
fit on
onto like the
X.
second half of Triple X when you...
yeah, when he's talking about the party song or whatever it is with the girl.
That one,
I felt like it was in that realm.
Kind of like the one where he's talking about like the riding through with like the brown van or the brown truck, like going through all the lots and stuff, and like
yeah. I don't
Yeah,
remember the track,
I forget
man.
that as well. But but yeah, and then comes to what I think is just such a great first single to release.
Whew, hell yeah, dude. In terms of lyrics, this is the most lyrical song on the album, I think. And it really caught me off guard. Like, the first time I heard it, this was the only single I listened to
here.
before this album came out, because I did not want to spoil
I did not want to
myself.
spoil Really Dough. Like, and I think I like
me
it
too.
better since I heard it in the context of the album the first time.
Yeah, and I think that's a lot of, like, I'm glad I didn't hear it beforehand, because I would have played it out so much. I would have just played it by itself just over and over and over and over.
Which is
and
what
over
I'm
again.
honestly going to do after this.
Yeah, me too, probably. But at least I got to listen to it in context with the album before I listened to it so much, you know? So I wasn't like, okay, I've heard this already, let me skip it, you know?
I feel like, but with When It Rain, Danny Brown, he just gets every single thing out of this track that he set out to do. Like, nothing feels wasted.
Oh, I
the
know.
chorus is so
It's-
good, and when that kicks in, it is near impossible not to just start, like, bouncing with it.
His lyrics, man. Time for the percolator, murder music orchestrator, point blank hollow tip circulator, your ass lucky if you're on respirator. I'm like Vega rolling with that blade. He is insane. The lyrics are my favorite on the album. I think the flow is crazy. I think his similes on here are insane.
Yeah.
I think this is the craziest track on the album. The craziest. Like, in terms of wacko, skidoodle, Danny Brown, this is him. This is it. And that's why he made this the single. The first single. Because it really does put into perspective what this album is going to sound like.
Yeah, that's, I thought it painted a very great picture of what this album was going to be like. It was just done so well. Like, the beat is, like, gritty. Like, it has some grit to it, and it just, like, really punches home sort of, like, his ideas.
I also want to talk about, in the end, how the vocals pan from the right to the left. That's so beautiful, man.
The little touches like that.
It's been done before, but he just does it so well.
Yeah, it's like, I forget what, it's a Tyler song, but where he's just talking, he's saying, it starts out, he's going left, right, but when he says left, the sound plays in your right headphone, and then when he says right, it plays in your left, and it like trips you out a little bit.
Yeah, that's crazy. I wish you knew the track.
It's off of Goblin.
I probably heard
It's off of
it.
Goblin.
Oh, it's off Goblin. That's why I
Yeah.
don't know what that was. I didn't really listen to Goblin too much.
Today, I like I think it's a perfect song to follow When It Rain. I thought he had, like, really good commentary, actually, the Danny Brown way of doing commentary on what's going on in the world today. He had that nice little Outkast call-out in there in one of the lyrics. It was taken directly from Outkast. But yeah, just, like, this song, like, this whole album is just, like, beat after beat after beat is just...
I think this is probably the best produced album of the year. I can't think of another that I've listened to that I would put over this in terms of production.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Maybe Blonde.
Yeah, and it's like, and that's even coming from me, where, like, I think this is probably the best produced as well, and you know how much I loved the Coloring Book. That was good, but it's like the production on it wasn't as solid.
Coloring Book's mixing was off, which was so odd to me, because it's like 2016. You can't have bad mixing in, like, that big of a release anymore. I don't know. I don't want to talk about that right now, though.
But yeah, it's like, gosh, like,
But yeah, his rhyme schemes on this were cool when he was like, with that arm and hammer, getting them pampers for baby mama.
Yeah, no, that's
yeah, man, it's really cool.
that's great.
Really cool.
Then we get to the stoner jam for the record. With
Yeah.
I mean, of course, it's Be
For
Real from Cypress Hill, right? I'm pretty sure. Here I can.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Just very chill. It's like Danny Brown trying to do a slow jam, and
Yep.
it turns out how you'd kind of hope it would.
I'm blowing on some Miles, something kind of blue. Shout outs to Miles Davis. His album Kind of Blue, that was really cool for the first, like, literally the first two lines of the track. And it's like a really slow beat. And he still has his, like, high-pitched voice with it, too. So it's, like, catches you off guard a little bit. Yeah, just a good stoner track. That's what it is.
And then Hell For It, which rounds out this album so well. It
Perfect.
like it finishes it off really well, but it also kind of gave me like this cliffhanger type vibe to it, which is
Because it's like, I'm going to give him hell for it, but it's like,
yeah,
let's hear it.
give him hell for it, dude. The piano or on this track, very good. The hook and chorus, I think, did a really good job of. They come in and he does like that vocal change up, and it just adds, some grit and toughness to this track, and it mixes it up. But then it goes back to,
Yeah. There's a couple of lines. He said, "All the time I heard I wouldn't make it, I was writing shit that was so damn amazing. When half these little was still watching that so raving." That cracked me up. When
I remembered that lyric.
And the thing about Danny Brown is he's 35. All these other guys, like, they're young. Like, coming up, he didn't really start popping off until he was over 30, which is crazy. And also,
he put the work in, man.
Yeah, the play on Assalamu Alaikum with "Got Me Mistaken," Muslim salami bacon.
Yes.
That's dope. That was really sick. And then this song is really just filled with straight fire, bruh. He also does that shout out to Iggy, not shout out, but calls out Iggy. She sucks compared to him, is what he's saying, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, like, not many arguments are going to be brought up to the contrary,
No, I don't think anybody
other than
would say
Iggy.
That. Yeah, and Iggy fans, I guess.
But yeah, it's like when I first heard the instrument, like when the beat first came on for this track, I was kind of wondering how his voice and flow would fit into it, but I was very pleasantly surprised by how just how great it worked together. Like,
yeah, I think this was one of the most phenomenal ways he could have ended the album. Ended the album off. It was almost like a break too.
Yeah, it was really good.
Because you got like just heavy stuff the whole time, and this song is like Danny Brown like putting himself up instead of down, and that was very like hell yeah, that's right.
I think this album is everything I hoped it would be and more. He pulls experiences from both Old and Triple X, I feel, things that he's learned. But really more to me, this reminds me more of Triple X than Old. Just because it seems like he has those similar ideas, but he's bringing back all the stuff he's learned. He's really refined his craft with it.
Yep. It's like with Downward Spiral, he's even making references to it, Like with the track titles. It's very similar to Triple X, and Triple X was an amazing album. And to be honest, I think I like this more than Triple X.
I'm in the same boat. Like, I was curious as to whether you would put it
I think this is my favorite Danny Brown album. Though.
No, it's mine as well. It is definitely mine. So good. Like, and it made it hard because it's like obviously we both love Danny Brown, but I was trying to look at it objectively.
Yeah.
But it's a strong contender for.
It's different.
It's not for everyone. I mean, I'll put that out there.
No, it's definitely not.
But it's definitely worth giving a shot.
Yeah, I'd say if you like heavy music, like heavier production with super good lyrics that put an amazing amount of imagery into the feelings that the person has, this album is gonna be amazing to you.
Yeah, it's one of those that you're not necessarily gonna break it out at a party. Even like a track like Really Dough, I feel like you need to be in the right mood.
Yeah.
But still, it's like it's so great. Like I just love this record so much. Definitely in contention for hip hop record of the year for me.
It's probably going to be my hip hop record of the year.
I just you never know with what's gonna drop in this last quarter of the year. Someone might drop a surprise thing.
You're right. So, yeah, man, what's your rating on it?
This, I'm giving Atrocity Exhibition a 9.4 out of 10.
That's hilarious, because I was going to give it a 9.5.
So
I'd say it's a 9.5 for me.
We're right on there, and
yeah,
I kind of want to stop recording just so I can listen to it again.
Yeah, man, we can be done now. So
yeah, all right, man. Let's cut it off here.
Yep. All right. See you guys later. Thanks
Bye.
for listening.